Tonight on Bobcat Breakdown, a women's volleyball captain will join us on set. We will discuss the opening week of hockey season, and our locks of the week will be shut. All that and more coming right up on Bobcat Breakdown. Once again, welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Joe Lagrippo, alongside Tom Krasnowski and Kyle Lavasser. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Always a pleasure to be on the desk, especially alongside Kyle Lavasser, Q30 veteran. Ready to talk some sports.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. Joe, so happy to have you on for your very first time on Bobcat Breakdown.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Thank you. All right, let's start off tonight's show with women's soccer. They are currently 3-0-1 in conference play. However, they have not played top-tier opponents yet. Tom, does their undefeated conference record represent their level of talent?
I think it does. I don't think that they continue to go undefeated in the conference for the whole year, but I do think this team is for real, and that's for a couple of different reasons. For one, they have an opportunistic and deep offense. So only one player has more than 20 shots. It's Kelsey Goldring. That hasn't stopped them. Most of their shots are on goal. They have a 16% conversion rate on their shots on goal, which is pretty nice shooting percentage. Even if they don't have one go-to goal scorer, 9 players have goals on the year, which is nice depth, which has been a struggle for some of these fall sports teams. They have a good goalkeeper in Olivia Myszewski. She's second in the MAC in wins with 5, second in shutouts with 4, fourth in saves. Every year we sort of ask if she takes that next step forward. I think she has this year. And strength of schedule. It's true they faced a light schedule, but they've also won the games. And that's a big battle for some teams sometimes. They got to win the games you have to win. The Bobcats have done that. It's a nice tune-up for those big games coming up against Monmouth, Marist, and Ryder.
Well, you're right about that. They've got some big games coming up. And Joe, Tom, to me, their record is what it is. They're 3-0-1. I really think this is a talented team. There was a team back in the day called the Dodgeball Average Joes, a true underdog story. They had 5 Ds that they followed. I have 2 Ds that the Quinnipiac women's soccer team follows: dominance and depth. In their 4 MAC games that they've had this year, which they've won 3 and only tied once, they have outscored their opponents 8-1. That's only 1 goal allowed in 4 games. So defensively, they're fine. They're scoring 2 goals per game, even without Nadia Gill from last year, their best goal scorer. So that gets into my second part of the equation, depth. They have plenty of different players that they can go to. 12 different athletes on their roster have a point so far this season. So you can really go, Dave Clark can go to any player on the field when he really needs a point to be scored. If you look at games outside of the conference, they haven't been blown out at all this year. They are in every single game, even the ones that they have lost, whether it's tougher competitions. They really are a threat to win the MAC this year.
And they've had some tough out-of-conference games, too. And they've, like you said, they were close games all along, and I think that's a good tune-up for them. I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit later.
As far as the talent, too, they're winning MAC weekly awards. You have Olivia Myszewski, Defensive Player of the Week, as well as Al Pelletier, Offensive Player of the Week. The talent is there with this team.
Guys, the Bobcats will be taking on their toughest opponent yet when they travel to Monmouth on Saturday to face off with the Hawks. Kyle, will Quinnipiac remain undefeated in the MAC, or are they going to come home with a loss?
Joe, this is a tough one, and in past years, Monmouth has kind of had Quinnipiac's number. I look back 2 years ago in the MAC championship game down in New Jersey, and the Hawks just creamed the Bobcats. They won 5-2, and the score it looks closer than it even was. The Hawks were very dominant in that game. And then you look at their team this year. Defensively, they are unbelievable. They only allow about 0.3 goals per game, and it really starts with their goaltender, Amanda Knob. She is fantastic. As a sophomore, she was the goaltender, the MAC goalie of the year. It's going to be tough beating her. And if Quinnipiac wants to win, it's going to have to start with their defense. Olivia Myszewski can't allow more than 1 goal in this game. Monmouth has not allowed more than 1 goal this entire year. No team has scored more than 1 goal this entire season against Monmouth.
It's incredible.
So if Myszewski allows 2 goals or more, Bobcats are done. This is going to be a very difficult game. I could see Monmouth really winning 2-0. This is the toughest team in the MAC that Quinnipiac is going to face all season long. I think the Hawks come out on top.
This is their first big test of the year. I do think they fail it. They haven't beaten Monmouth since 2015. I don't think this is the year either. It's because of that stout defense you mentioned, and it's more than just Amanda Knob, the goaltender. She also sees the fewest shots out of any goalkeeper in the MAC. So they do a great job at shot suppression, almost like the New Jersey Devils back in the day. Great job allowing less shots, less high-quality chances. Bobcats drop this one 2-0. Mashevsky would have to be perfect to win this one.
Yeah. No, but Knob, I feel like you're putting her down a little bit, even though because she doesn't get many shots.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a combination. Obviously, they're not allowing too many shots, but she also has an unbelievably high save percentage, the highest in the MAC.
You combine that with the great defense she's got, and that's a defense that's hard to beat. Defense wins championships, and that does not lie for Monmouth.
There are currently 5 freshmen on the team. Selena Salas leads all of them in minutes, goals, and points. Is she the most important freshman on the team? Tom?
I think this one's pretty obvious. I'm going to say yes, no question about it. And that's because of a couple of key reasons. Number one, Dave Clark trusts her. She has the 4th most minutes on the team, and she's one of the only starters among freshmen that's getting regular minutes. And she's got a little scoring touch, too. She's 3rd on the team in goals, 3rd in points, 2nd in assists, and 10 of her 11 shots have come in her last 5 games. So she's heating up a little bit, too, getting more comfortable with the system. I don't even know who else she could pick.
Yeah, I'll make it short and sweet. I agree with you, Tom. The question going into this year for the Bobcats was, is the offense going to keep on track with how it's been in years past? Since they lost Nadia Gill, Salas has done a nice job stepping up and adding a nice layer of depth to the Bobcats, which they've definitely needed.
Transitioning to women's volleyball, Captain Morgan Sherwin joins us live with our very own Katie O'Keefe. Katie?
Joe, thank you, and Morgan, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, you're coming off a great match from Fairfield. You took them 3-2. Unfortunately, Quinnipiac lost. But tell me, what was it like going through that game?
I think it gave us a lot of confidence that we were able to get the first 2 sets, and we were 4 points away from sweeping them, which would have been the first time in program history. But it gave us a big confidence boost that we can hang with them being the projected conference winner to show that we can beat them the next time.
Definitely. What did Fairfield do a little differently at the end there at the match?
They changed some hitters up, which they took number 13 out, which was their go-to player. So when she came in the game, they were starting to hit different angles and stuff that we had thought for the other girls. So that
definitely hard.
Yeah, switched things up on us.
Yeah. I'm not sure many people know this, but you were #1 setter in assists in high school in all of the state of Pennsylvania. So congrats on that first.
Thank you.
Now, I want to ask you, what has it been like going from setter to hitter in college?
Well, I only set my senior year in high school, so I was an outside hitter my sophomore and junior year, and then senior year we didn't have a setter, so I stepped in and took that role, and then we ended up going to state finals, which was unexpected of us. So going that far really helped, and then we just kind of shocked the whole state of Pennsylvania by doing that. So.
Wow. So you are very impressive hitting both left and right side, but which side would you say is better?
For me personally, I think the right side, with the fact that I am a lefty, so that's my more natural swing. So being able to go down the line, especially when there's no block, it's a lot of fun.
You feel like you're stronger and you can kind of get the opponent that way?
Yeah.
And now you've been named captain for the season. Tell me what it's like being a captain as a sophomore, leading this team, and especially when they're down. What's it like?
It's a great honor, especially from the coaches and the girls on the team who think that I'm the right person for that job. So it's just keeping everybody positive and picking them up when they're down, when they're having an off game, and just trying to lead us to a MAC championship.
Well, good luck with everything in the
Thank
season.
you.
But before you go, really quick, tell me, what are some of your personal goals, what you want to work on, and how you want to see yourself different?
Probably personally just growing as a leader for the captain position to make sure that everyone else is giving their best and getting the best out of everyone with full effort while we're playing.
Well, Morgan, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Joe, back to you guys.
Thanks, Katie. Continuing with volleyball, Quinnipiac owned a 2-set lead over Fairfield on Saturday, but ultimately lost the contest. Tom, is this loss worrisome?
I'm going to say yes. Worrisome is a strong word, but Quinnipiac had a chance to upset the best team in the conference on the road, and they let it pass it by. They blew a 2-0 lead. That's concerning against anybody. I know how good Fairfield is, have not lost in the conference in 3 years, but they let Quinnipiac come in and rattle them, and a true contender would finish the job. Quinnipiac, maybe they're not quite there yet, but that was a big chance to take that first step forward. They couldn't get the job done.
All right, Tom. So normally I would agree with you that if you're up 2 sets, you got to step on their throat and just finish the deal, and you can't relinquish that lead. Like, it was a bit of a choke under normal circumstances. But they're playing Fairfield, who is an unbelievable power in the MAC. They dominated Quinnipiac last year, beat them 3-0 twice in 2 matches. This year, they're 6-0 in the conference. They won the MAC championship last year and against Quinnipiac 2 years ago. I mean, Fairfield is an unbelievable team. Quinnipiac has never even won 2 sets against Fairfield, so you have to take a little bit of a win just from that. I don't expect Quinnipiac to go and run the table this year in the MAC, so because the expectations aren't that high, winning 2 sets against Fairfield is a win in my book.
I think there are some positives to take from it, as you mentioned, but any coach will tell you that, you know, a real contender finishes the job. Look at Penn State. They lost by 1 point to Ohio State. Their coach was on them the next day saying, we got to finish the job. We got to step on their throats.
Right, but this is a team, Tom, sorry to interrupt, this is a team that has lost so much talent and is in a rebuilding process, in my opinion.
You can keep making excuses for it, or you can just put up wins. And they haven't been able to put up the wins when they needed it.
But no one's beating Fairfield.
That was it. They were close to doing it, and they had a chance to do it. And they face each other again later in October, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it, too. Only 2 of the 6 MAC matches this year for the Stags have gone to 5 sets. One of them is against Quinnipiac.
Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't put up a great effort, because they sure did, but blowing a 2-0 set to anybody, in my book, is just, it's a missed opportunity. I think it's worrisome.
Fairfield, Tom? Talking about Fairfield.
I don't know. You can never use that as an excuse, I don't think. The opponent being that much better than you. You got to improve for next time.
All right.
Love it when you guys get into it. Good stuff, guys. Quinnipiac will try to rebound on Saturday against Niagara. Coming up, we will discuss the women's ice hockey team and the rugby team. Also, stay tuned for our Bobcats of the week and, of course, our final roars. Keep it with us on Q30 TV.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
now that's a sandwich.
Let's get it going. Sports Pause starts right now.
We start tonight with some basketball coverage.
And here again, Aaron Robinson hits the shot of his life.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. The Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team lost close ones to Ohio State 3-2 on both Friday and Saturday. Abby Ives and Allison Small started a game apiece in net, but both suffered the same fate, a loss. Here's what head coach Cass Turner had to say about her goalies after the second game. Quote, "I am excited about where both of them are, but I think both of them could have played better. And I think that they both know that too. The great news is our goaltending is very good, and we know we'll continue to get better." Tom, do you disagree or agree with her statement?
Well, I agree with her statement. Cass Turner rarely calls out her players, and she didn't quite do that, but she did issue a challenge to Abby Ives and Allison Small. And if you go back and you watch the tape, they both allowed a couple of soft goals that might have cost them this game. And against Ohio State, who's number 7 in the nation, sometimes your goalies have to steal you a win. The rest of the team played pretty well. They gave them a chance to win, but a couple of those goals did come back to bite them. At the same time, I don't expect this to be a problem because Ives was spectacular last year. She had a 1.78 goals against and over a 920 save percent, and Allison Small could probably start for a couple of different teams. But if they don't improve, the Bobcats are going to be in trouble. I think they need to step it up just a little bit heading into Maine.
You don't expect the goaltending to be a problem this year in this ECAC?
I don't, because last year I think these goalies are battle tested. I think you look at what they did last year, and they were able to win some games and put up good numbers. I don't expect it to be a problem, but it wasn't a good start. But I'm willing to give them a little bit of a pass just because of their past contributions.
Okay. This is a bigger problem than just this past weekend because they played Ohio State, one of the top teams in the country.
And we know that's no excuse.
And that's it's not an excuse because that's what they're going to be facing the entire season. ECAC women's hockey is completely stacked this year. They're facing some of the best teams in the country. 4 of the teams are in the top 10 in the country alone. We'll start with Clarkson, the defending back-to-back national champs, why don't we? They went 36-4-1 last year. And they are definitely a much better team than last year when they only lost 4 games.
Yeah, they added a new goalie, too.
They added an All-American transfer from Ohio State. They have Lauren Gable, who had 75 points last year, 2nd in the country. Elizabeth Gagari, 71 points as a freshman. Now she's going to her sophomore year. And you know the big name that they just added, Tom?
We know her name.
Infrano. She's a pretty popular person around Hamden. I think she's going to be just as popular up in Clarkson in upstate New York. Her sophomore year, the ECAC Hockey Player of the Year. Now she'll be a grad student up there. Only time will make her better. This is a dynasty in the making up in Clarkson, and they're not the only team in ECAC hockey that is going to compete with Quinnipiac. You have St. Lawrence, they're 10th in the country. You have Cornell, they're 7th in the country. You have Colgate, who lost in the national championship last year to Clarkson. Those are all 4 unbelievable teams that I don't think either of these goalies are going to be able to touch this year.
It's not about the goaltending with Quinnipiac.
They are good goalies for Quinnipiac. They're good goalies.
It's not about the goaltending for them. Cass Turner said before, they need to score more. And right now, they're not scoring any goals. Last year, they only averaged 1.8 goals a game. They did a little bit better than that by scoring 2 in this one. But that's their big problem. Defense and goaltending isn't their issue. These goalies are going to be great moving forward because they have that track record.
They're going to be able to go up against Cianfrano, Gable, all those people. I mean, Tom,
I think they can. There were some close games against them last year. It comes down to being able to score goals in the offensive end. You can't blame it all on them.
Tom, just earlier this show, you're the one that said defense wins championships and that all winning programs start with defense. So now you're changing your mind.
I'm not concerned about the Bobcats. I'm not concerned about the Bobcats' defense because they regularly have a good defense. Cass Turner says it's the best part of their program, and I have to say I agree. I'm more worried about the offense than I am the goalies. They have the track record. They have the numbers, and it's just some early season rust for me right now. I'm not worried.
All right, guys, you talked about goaltending. Now let's move to the offense. If you look at their scoring from this year and last year, you'll see a lot of Melissa Samoskevich on the score sheet. Other than that, scoring threats have been few and far between. Tom, will lack of goals from other players hurt the squad?
So, yeah, I don't think it's never a good idea to rely on one goal scorer. And with TTC and Ferrano last year, the Bobcats may have been guilty of doing that. Because when she got injured last year, outside of Melissa Samoskevich, who was scoring goals for that team? Not many. Brooke Bonsteel had 10, Sarah Evkutu-Godbu, Kinsey Lancaster were all good. After them, no one else scored more than 4 goals. So depth is a problem on this team, and they're going to need some players to grow and chip in. I think Taylor House is capable of doing it. I think one of the freshmen, Lexia Gia, had a terrific opening series against Ohio State.
Absolutely.
Just to put the puck in the net, but she sure has looked good, fast, aggressive on the puck. But you know, you never know when that injury can strike like it did last year with Cianfrano. So the Bobcats definitely need to get more depth out of their offense.
Yeah, Tom, I trust your opinion. You've been to plenty of games. You were at this past weekend on the call. So I definitely value your opinion. But that being said, I just don't see it with this conference this year. Like I said, this is a tough conference to play in. And I think it's going to be a lot of Melissa Samoskevich carrying the team on her
and
back.
that's fine. She can carry the team on her back, but in order to win those tough games, like you said, against Clarkson and St. Lawrence, there's going to have to be total team efforts. She can win them games against the lesser opponents all by herself because she's that good, but they're going to need that depth to beat the tough opponents.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, let's take it outside to the rugby pitch. The rugby team has won 2 straight and now face Harvard for the 2nd time this season. Last matchup between the two, Quinnipiac lost 32-19. Kyle, what has changed since their first matchup in early September?
Well, Joe, I mean, it's clearly experience. Their first matchup of the year, they had 9 freshmen on their roster playing college rugby for the very first time. Now they're about a month into the season, and Becky Carlson has been able to mold them into the types of players that she needs on her team. Harvard's a very good team. Dartmouth, to follow that, is even better. So it's very understandable why the Bobcats started their season 0-2. They've now faced some easier competition. They're a little more confident after getting 2 wins in a row now. So it's a more experienced team. The players are now getting put into positions where they're going to succeed. So to me, it just was a matter of time for this team to start getting going. I think I'm really excited to see how they're going to do against Harvard and Penn State. Those are 2 games that I have on my calendar that are really going to be huge tests for them. Notre Dame, okay, that's a good win, but we'll see when they face a legitimate NIRA opponent in Harvard, and then Penn State, a perennial powerhouse.
Yeah, you get a second crack at Harvard, that's a great opportunity. You don't always get a second chance at a team in a season as short as rugby, and they're going to be licking their chops for that game. Now, I think the thing for rugby is that they found their identity on defense. They had not allowed 30 points in a game since 2016 entering the season. They allowed it twice in their first 2 games, over 30 points. And that, as you said, could probably be inexperience. And now, since then, they have not allowed 30 since, and that certainly takes the pressure off of the offense. And the offense has rebounded as well. I keep mentioning the importance of scoring depth, and the rugby team has found that. In the last match, 5 different players scored tries in that one. And that's huge. Scoring depth is big in any sport, and rugby has had that now. They can't really replace an Ilona Mar or Schussler or Poole, but right now they have enough good quality options and enough defensive identity to where I think they're doing as best they can.
Well, and it starts at the top, too, with their 2 captains. So Emily Roskoff and Mika Maples both lead the team with 5 tries apiece. But if they want to get back to where they were in the past few years, it's going to have to come down to the depth.
All right, guys, let's take it from one pitch to another. As a freshman, Eamon Whalen scored 11 goals and was given first-team All-MAC honors. Unfortunately, in his second season, he fought through injury and scored just twice. Now in 2018, he is fully healthy and leads not only the Bobcats, but the entire conference with 5 goals in 8 games. Will men's soccer player Whalen lead the MAC in goals when the season ends?
Joe, I'll keep it nice and easy. He's the best player in the league when he's healthy. Yes, he will lead the MAC in goals by the end of the season.
I have to agree. The whole offense runs through Eamon Whalen. He leads the MAC in goals right now. He has the best goal percentage per game in the MAC, and it's not even close. So if he's healthy and on track, he's going to end up leading the MAC in goals.
The Bobcats have been flip-flopping between goalkeepers this season, between Jared Mazzola and Chris Yakovides. Which keeper will end up with the most minutes at the conclusion of the season?
I don't think this one's close. It has to be Jared Mazzola. Chris Yakovides has not played in a month. And it was outside those first 3 games. It's been Mazzola's show since then, and he's run away with it. They're winning games right now. I know Yakovides did play some tough opponents, and that could be a reason why, but he just didn't look right. They moved on, and Mazzola's taken his place.
It seems pretty clear to me the biggest things always comes down to wins and which player you trust to get you the win come playoff time. All 3 of Quinnipiac's wins have come off the back of Jared Mazzola. Chris Yakovides still is looking for his first win this season. Plus, Mazzola has much better stats with goals against and save percentage. I think it's clear Mazzola will start come playoff time as he currently is.
All right, that was pretty fun, huh? Stay right where you are, because when we come back, we'll give our locks of the week and our Bobcats of the week. Stay tuned.
If you like debate, that's a converted relief pitcher making the start because it was a doubleheader. You got no hit by a relief pitcher. You can't tell me that's not embarrassing.
Analysis.
You can see his stance, his positioning right there is excellent.
And a side of entertainment.
Is he right or is he crazy?
Well, we all know the answer to that. He's a bit crazy, but I gotta say, you know.
Then join us on Bobcat Breakdown.
From the court to the ice to here on the diamond, we'll discuss everything you need to know about Quinnipiac athletics.
Bobcat Breakdown, Tuesdays at 9:30.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Once again, I welcome you back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for a new segment where the guys and I will pick our locks of the week. Tom, start it off. What you got?
So we said earlier sometimes with the women's ice hockey team that it is the Melissa Samoskevich show. And in that respect, I think she's going to put up 3 points this weekend in the 2 games against Maine. She's closing in on 100 points for her career. She's currently at 88. I think she's going to get 3 points, call it a goal and 2 assists. And Bobcats are going to get a win off those contributions, and she's going to inch ever so closer to 100 career points. She could be the last Bobcat to do that for a while.
Tom, I got 2 teams that tend to go under the radar here at Quinnipiac, and it's the men's and women's tennis teams. As dominant as they've been, they do happen to go under the radar, and this weekend, keep your eyes on them because they are going to dominate Ryder, as they tend to do. Lock it in. Both tennis teams are going to get wins. They both beat Ryder last year 7-0, and I think it's going to be more of the same this year.
My lock of the week is on the field hockey team. I believe they'll beat Nova and improve to 2-2 in conference play. Yes, they've lost their last 2 games, but they need to rebound. On Friday, they're going to do just that. And guess what? They're going to win by at least 2 goals. You'll have our locks of the week. You have our locks of the week. Now we'll give you our Bobcats of the week. Kyle, start us off.
Joe, it seems pretty clear to me, Lexi Azija of the women's hockey team, an unbelievable start for the freshman in her first weekend of college hockey. She had 2 assists. She went 10-3 in the faceoff circle. So she's doing the little things out there, getting her name on the score sheet, where Quinnipiac, like you said, Tom, the offense is really where they're going to need some more firepower this year. She's scored at every level that she's ever played at, whether it's juniors, where she was second in the league in scoring, in the U18 Nationals, in Canada. Look for her to become an emerging star for the Bobcats this year.
So we had Al Pelletier live on the air with Randy Del Valle last week on an interview, and I'm not sure if that helped boost her confidence, but she went out after that and scored 2 goals in those 2 games that they played, 2 wins for the women's soccer team, and both of them were game-winning goals. Al Pelletier was the MAC Offensive Player of the Week, well-deserved Bobcat of the Week, too.
My Bobcat of the Week belongs to women's volleyball player Kat Miller. Despite the loss to Fairfield on Saturday, she led her team in kills with 16, had 3 aces, and had 20 digs. Last match, Miller became the 6th player in program history to reach 1,000 career digs, and that's why she deserves my Bobcat of the Week. Now it's time for our final roars. Each person will be given roughly 30 seconds to talk about whatever they please. Start us off, Kyle.
Thanks, Joe. The Quinnipiac women's soccer team sits at the top of the MAC standings with a 3-0-1 record. The Bobcats continue to impress on offense as they are tied for the conference lead in goals. All this comes without star scorer Nadia Gill. While Gill truly is an impressive goal scorer, what's even more impressive is how electric Quinnipiac's offense continues to be without her. I can't overstate how key Quinnipiac's depth is from players like Madison Barowick, Kelsey Goldring, Lauren Triglione, Al Pelletier, and many others. The Bobcats' biggest test comes this Saturday against the best defense in the MAC, the Monmouth Hawks.
In the past, we have debated countless times on this show about the importance of out-of-conference games. Regardless of what we think, Quinnipiac sure values taking on high-level opponents from all over the nation. The women's ice hockey team just hosted number 7 Ohio State. The men's basketball team is opening its season at number 1 Villanova. The men's ice hockey team, men's and women's soccer team, and the field hockey teams all take on Boston College this year. And let's not forget the women's basketball team squaring up against UConn in the playoffs last year. The best team in college basketball history. That one wasn't by choice, but it still goes with the flow. There's a lot to take from out-of-conference games. Iron sharpens iron, and teams only improve when they're pushing their limits and their comfort zone. Quinnipiac sports teams have taken a lot of tough out-of-conference games on so far this year, and I don't think that's a trend that should change.
When people think of Quinnipiac, the first thing they may think of are the hockey teams. I know that's what I thought of. As a senior in high school, I wanted to go to a medium-sized school that was passionate about its athletic programs. That's exactly what grabbed my attention to Quinnipiac. It's extremely important for the hockey teams to succeed and draw those big crowds. This is how I fell in love with the school, and how other people will hear about it too. If that all goes according to plan, both teams look primed for great seasons. The Quinnipiac community will continue to grow and flourish. Thanks for joining us tonight on Bobcat Breakdown. That is all the time we have for tonight. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports and click on our website, q30tv.com. For Tom, Kyle, Katie, and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Joe LaGrippo. Have a good night.